Bedrock Robotics co-founder and CEO, joins us here in SF. Let's get to the basics, what we're talking about. We're talking about excavators, dump trucks, other construction equipment, but there is no driver in the cab.
That's correct. Thank you for having me on, Ed. We're building the Bedrock Operator. This is a suite of sensors, compute, and software that transforms existing heavy machinery, such as excavators and other machines, and enables them to be fully autonomous. And our customers are the contractors who leverage this technology to be able to build faster, safer, and more predictably.
Okay, let's get to the technology. So, analogous with an autonomous vehicle, a robotaxi, or a self-driving truck, there's a suite of sensors.
That's right.
Tell me about them, who offers them, produces them, and then you must have your own software platform too.
That's correct. So we use a combination of cameras and LiDAR. It gives us 360-degree visibility around the machine. That's incredibly valuable both for productivity as well as safety, which is one of the biggest challenges in the space. We have compute that is on the machine that does that's the brain behind operating the system.
Who provides the compute?
We use NVIDIA chips for compute, and then we integrate our own systems around it. And
I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah,
the audience probably not surprised by that.
Yeah, they're still pretty incredible and oftentimes a standard for these sort of systems. Now, what's nice is that ecosystem's matured a lot, and so we're able to really focus our energies on the software that brings a level of precision and capability that was previously impossible in these sort of spaces.
The news here is that this is real. You've deployed in 3 commercial sites, right? How real? I mean, are you able to book revenues on these 3 sites? In other words, someone's actually paying you for this. And what's the scale of the deployment?
Yeah, we are. So we are on 3 different sites with 3 different partners, Sun Construction, Zachary, Champion Site Prep. There are 3 different projects, everything from water treatment facilities to other types of infrastructure. These are paid deployments that are doing real work that's on the critical path of these projects. And these are projects that are doing up to multiple millions of cubic yards of earthwork as a project, and we're doing a subset of that.
So now is the big question. Why is there a need for autonomous construction equipment?
Yeah, it's a great question. There is an unprecedented need to build. So we're onshoring manufacturing. There's housing shortages, road shortages, the data center boom that we've all seen, water treatment facilities. All of these are pushing on an already incredibly strained industry. And the labor supply is actually continuing to fall, where some of the contractors we partner with are seeing huge retirement rates. And so there's an absolute bottleneck that effectively becomes a radiation on the whole economy when you can't build the things that the country needs.
So in very simple terms, there are not enough drivers nor operators to be inside the cab of any piece of construction equipment.
That's right. And some of these are actually incredibly complex pieces of equipment. Like an excavator operator needs many years to actually become competent because these are incredibly complex, sophisticated machines.
What about the utilization rate then? What can you achieve in a 12-hour shift with an autonomous piece of equipment relative to a human-driven? Yeah,
well, you nailed it. So we're already at close to human productivity. We're going to reach human productivity very soon.
What is the benchmark of human productivity in a construction site?
So, for example, the volume of earth moved in a period of time. So we can, but you nailed a really important point that already these machines are oftentimes sitting idle. Contractors are turning down work because they physically can't reach the demand with the capacity that they have. And so this allows you not only to fulfill that, but you can actually now start compressing schedules and doing more work in a physical block of time by exceeding what typically would be one shift and working longer stretches that actually can compress schedules.
Team, let's bring the pictures back up, because I think you can't get enough of showing it in action.
It's quite a sight.
That is a well-known brand of construction equipment. I'm sure others are available. But it reminds me of a period of time where I was covering the EV industry. There was a section of that industry that just wanted to retrofit the powertrain of existing commercial vehicles. So you must have to partner with those OEMs and add your technology stack on top.
Well, the interesting thing is that a lot of these machines are actually designed incredibly well to be able to be transformed into autonomously capable and to do it safely without a major redesign. That's not the case in public road cars and trucks. There's specific aspects of these machines that actually make them much more suitable for this sort of automation.
So what is the constraint on your ability to build the fleet that you can then deploy? Because the number of projects you take on will be dictated by how many of these autonomous machines can be deployed.
That's exactly right. And so this is where it helps to have millions of these machines already out there that become part of the pool that you can go and pursue. And just like we saw in other big waves of technology like this, such as autonomous driving, there's a really deep challenge in the 0 to 1 where you're trying to deploy a system safely and productively. And then there's another suite of challenges when you start to scale it into the hundreds and thousands and beyond. And so now it's a matter of really maturing the autonomy capabilities and starting this flywheel to move into new capabilities and new machines, and then be able to really orchestrate them where you can start to complete more cohesive sets of work.
But in simple terms, you take delivery of the piece of equipment, you retrofit it with your stack, and then you put it out in the real world.
Even better, we do it on site. It takes us a few hours. It's 100% reversible, and it's ready to go as soon as it's complete. So it's a really incredible kind of ability to start to really deploy and scale this.
So the way that we describe the flywheel at the top of the show is, there is AI-driven demand for the machinery, and AI is answering the call. Talk about some of the data center projects. The hyperscalers themselves that end up renting or owning the capacity directly looking to you, or is there still a degree of separation with the contractor? They must have an interest in this field.
Yeah, our direct customers are the contractors, and we pursue the work that is most valuable to them. That happens to obviously have a big pull in data centers, but we also see projects of all sorts, highways, water treatment facilities, housing developments. And so we end up enabling them to take on more of this work and be able to scale with those demands. And oftentimes we do see this push actually not from our direct customers, the contractors, but the end owners that actually get a huge benefit in the predictability.
Is there any end owner that's particularly interested in you at the moment?
There's a large number from the broader ecosystem in space, and it's actually both end customers as well as developers. Whereas you can imagine, one of the really interesting impacts of this is that if you can compress schedules, the types of projects that previously didn't pencil out because of the price of loans and so forth suddenly do. And so this actually becomes incredibly expansionary for commercial developments and housing developments that previously would be out of reach.
Very interested in your commercial progress. In autonomous haulage or trucking, you can do a very easy comparison, dollar per mile against a human-driven truck. Where are you at dollar per ton of waste moved, or is it done by time against the human-operated machine? Yeah,
we've explored a few options with our partners, and we're figuring this out actively. Sometimes this is a license where it becomes like an operator that you've brought on to join your fleet. Some have done it by productivity, like volumes of cubic yards that are moved. What's nice is that one of the biggest challenges that contractors face is uncertainty of the length of projects. This actually allows them to tighten that up, which gives them huge flexibility in taking on more work and tightening up the windows in which they do it.